We use absolute value often in 7th grade math when we are adding and subtracting numbers with different signs. So let's look at an example. What is the absolute value of negative 1/4? The vertical bars are the absolute value symbol. We want to think about, well, first of all, what is absolute value? The value of a number, the value of negative 1/4 is negative 1/4. The value of negative 1/4 is negative 1/4. The absolute value tells us how far away negative 1/4 is from 0. So if here's 0, here's negative 1, here's positive 1. This is negative 1/2, positive 1/2, positive 1/4, negative 1/4. Negative 1/4 is 1/4 away from 0. Negative 1/4 and positive 1/4 have the same absolute value. Their absolute value is 1/4. 1/4 can be rewritten as a decimal as 25 hundredths, and it's 25% of 1. We need absolute value when we're adding and subtracting numbers with different signs. In this case, we have negative 1/4 and positive 3/4. So we think about absolute value because the number with the greater absolute value keeps the sign for the sum. So is negative 1/4 or positive 3/4 further from 0? Positive 3/4 is further from 0, so my sum will be positive. And then all I need to do is figure out their difference. On a number line, since we're talking about fourths, we can just look at the numerators. Here's 0, here's negative 1, 1, 2, 3. Here's positive 3. So if I'm starting at negative 1 and I want to move 3 in the positive direction, 1, 2, 3, I end up at 2. How is 2 related to 1 and 3? It's their difference. 3 minus 1 is 2. So when you're adding numbers with different signs, you find their difference and keep the absolute value and keep the sign of the number with the greater absolute value. And you'll see if we use that process, negative 1 plus 3. 3 has the greater absolute value. I know my answer is going to be positive. What's the difference of 3 and 1, the absolute values of the numerators? It's 2. So my answer is 2. Remember, I'm dealing with fourths, so it's positive 2/4, which is the same as 1/2. Okay? In this case, we have two numbers with the same sign. We don't need to worry so much about absolute value here because they're both on the negative side of 0. So when I'm adding them, my sum will stay negative. There's no greater absolute value positive number to pull my sum to the positive side of 0. It's going to stay negative. So I have negative 1, and then I'm getting 3 more negative. 2, 3, 4, and I end up at negative 4. Remember, my denominator, I'm dealing with fourths, so negative 4/4 equals negative 1/2. In this case, we need absolute value to process, to figure out, is our sum going to be positive or negative, because our addends have different signs. In this case, our addends have the same sign, so we know that that sum is going to keep that same sign.